like to welcome you all here. In accordance with Chapter 5, Section 2I of our city charter, the mayor delivers an annual report on the state of the city at the first council meeting in March. And so we're all here, excited and very looking forward to your report, Mayor. So please join us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Council President Wooden, and Majority Leader Aponte, and Minority Leader Deutsch, and distinguished members, residents, guests, friends, and family, and have some special invitees, a member of a group of teenage pregnancy prevention program that I've invited here today, who is doing some wonderful work in our schools to make sure that our young children start families when they're ready to have families, and also communicate the good word of having good and safe practices that do not endanger their lives. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment, above all, for making Hartford a better place to live, to work, and to visit. Actually, this is my third state of the city address, and today we will focus on one thing, and that is moving forward, even in the most difficult of times. It's the premise behind my remarks today, and it is the intent behind the words that I want you to internalize, which are words of progress, forward momentum, and success. Now, of course, I'm not going to sugarcoat things that we all know too well to be true. Our city, our state, and our nation's fiscal situation is no secret. Difficult decisions will be made because we, like most, need to continue to do more with less. I, as mayor, cannot do enough to influence the nation's national economy. I cannot control the financial markets, but I can and will continue to lobby for Hartford by working with our local legislative delegation, our congressional delegation, our governor, to make sure that our city remains a priority. I will continue to do everything within my power to move us forward with courage, creativity, and determination. It's times like these, difficult times, where leaders are made. And as your chief executive, I will make the decisions I feel are the best for our city of Hartford now and in the years ahead. I owe it to the city that opens its arms to me, gave me an opportunity, and I owe it to the children and the families of this great city who have trusted us with their future. And let me say this, I have been through difficult times in my life, extremely difficult times. I am no stranger to adversity, but when confronted with pressure and the harsh realities, I didn't panic and I didn't walk away. I stayed composed, creative, and I will do the same now and in the future. Before I detail some noteworthy highlights of the past year and present successes, let me address the true state of things and set the financial record straight. We cannot ignore deficits, but we should not panic and obsess about them either. A week before I became mayor on June 25th, we were 7 days away from the end of the fiscal year. There existed a multi-million-dollar deficit. During that week, I worked with my group to close that gap with only a week remaining, and in the coming months, we were not able to find out that we had reached our goals, but we added money to our general fund. My first year preparing the budget, we had a $30 million deficit. Last year, it was $50 million. And this year, our high projections showed a deficit as high of $70 million. Each year, we provide a 5-year financial forecast. It is a projection. Every year, we show a dramatic delta between the revenues and the expenditures. For example, if you look at the 2008-2009 adopted budget, it showed projected budget expenditures in 13-14 of $800+ million. The difference between that and the actual revenues would have been a deficit of $234 million. Now, clearly, this is not the case. We did not submit a budget of $800 million for last year. We submitted a budget of $540 million, which was even lower than the previous year's expenditures. So we have closed the gap, each and every gap, since I've been mayor, and we will do the same this year, and we will do the same in future years. My past record demonstrates clearly that we are ready to accept the challenge and future challenges, and that we have accomplished some things financially. What have we done? We have balanced the budget and have actually turned deficits into surpluses, and this year will be no different. In addition to turning deficits into surpluses, we have significantly improved the health of our internal service accounts, such as workers' compensation, medical claims, and post-employment benefits. We have saved millions on insurance and on medical benefits. We have worked with our tax collector, Mr. Mark Nelson, who's here today, to attain the highest level of tax collection rate, thereby reducing the sale of tax liens and limiting the potential for folks to lose their homes. We have curtailed dramatic mill rate increases that occurred between 2000 and 2010 when I took office. And I'm happy to report that this afternoon, both rating agencies, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, have reaffirmed our bond ratings and has provided us with a stable outlook for the next fiscal year. Hartford has maintained its bond rating despite the most challenging of economic times. And I did not do this alone. I did it with the collaboration and the help of many others who are sitting out there in front of me and in back of me. Further, our pension fund is one of the 10% performing in the nation. And working with our treasurer, Adam Cloud, the goal is to reduce the burden on our taxpayers by making strategic investment decisions. So again, I repeat, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be without sacrifice, and no one is going to get everything that they desire. But our city will move forward, and truthfully, there are cities that have it worse than we have, with far less potential for growth than what we have. First, I want to reassure you of some of the unwavering priorities, things that will not shift regardless of our financial challenges. I will submit on April 15th, a budget that is respectful of the needs of our community, but in tune with our economic realities. I will submit a budget that does not sacrifice public safety. My commitment to education reform will not change or be reduced. My commitment to nurturing entrepreneurs and getting our young people trained for the workforce will not lessen, especially the commitment I'd made to the Summer Youth Employment Program years ago. My commitment to restoring our parks, to revitalizing Hartford, and creating a business-friendly atmosphere will not change. I will submit a budget that increases my commitment to improving the infrastructure of the city to the level that our residents, rightfully so, are demanding. And through these infrastructure projects, I have and will submit more proposals that create jobs for our residents right here in Hartford. So what can you expect to see for the coming year for Connecticut's capital city? You will notice around that there are photos of significant development projects. It represents some of the projects that we have commenced, some that had been started, and some that you will see progressing as this year moves forward. Just to highlight a few, sports, entertainment, arts, and culture attracts tourism to our city. That is key to development in our city and encouraging grand list growth. We're currently working with the Capital Region Development Authority, or CERTA, and our corporate partners to develop new opportunities. The first one was announced recently. The American Hockey League, the AHL, the Connecticut Well, will remain in Hartford at the XL Center where it belongs. We also have to thank our new partner, Global Spectrum, for helping to make this a reality. We have increased vibrancy in Hartford. I repeat, we have increased vibrancy in Hartford. Last year, over 2 million people came to our city. Those numbers reflect XL Center, Comcast Theater, Convention Center, and City of Hartford events. Events like Winterfest, which brought over 100,000 visitors, and Envision Fest, which brought in over 10,000 visitors in one day. Front Street is now open, and you've seen it. Capitol Grill, the restaurant, has broken ground. Infinity Hall is up next. It was a pleasure to sit in my office actually programming with Infinity Hall what sorts of events, what sort of concerts the mayor of Hartford wants to see for the people of Hartford at Infinity Hall. So we're getting there. A new restaurant has opened at historic Coltsville. We've heard that Chef Harry has hired 7 new staff, all Hartford residents, and is averaging $3,500 a week in sales per week. UConn West Hartford is coming to the center of our city. Something that I have lobbied for relentlessly. The first dude and I have 5 UConn degrees, so we're fans of the Huskies, and we want UConn to have a permanent presence in our city. That means more people on the streets, more people with ideas, more drive for exploring all the things that we have to offer, but most importantly, and hopefully, actually it will be a reality, more opportunities for the young men and women of this city. Our neighborhoods are very important to this city. We are a city of neighborhoods. We're working with the Hartford Housing Authority to build 1,000 units, rebuild 1,000 units between Knowlton Court, Westbrook Village, and Bowles Park. By then, there will be 1,000 new residential units in downtown Hartford, and our intermodal triangle, Hartford's transportation overhaul, will have broken ground. We're concentrating streetscape plans this year on Albany Avenue, Farmington Avenue, and Weathersfield Avenue. We're working with state officials and the Urban Land Institute to convert Albany Avenue into the destination that Albany Avenue should be. Now, these capital improvement projects impact our city in 2 critical ways. They improve our infrastructure, but they also create jobs for our city. I have charged my administration, including the Department of Public Works and Procurement, to include training programs for Hartford residents in any new infrastructure contract. I want to hire from within as much as possible. Bottom line, if there's a reason it's not happening, let's address it and let's get it done. An active community is a healthy community. And our children deserve the same kind of athletic spaces they see in neighboring towns. So today I'm announcing that we're partnering with the Carl Ripken Foundation to create 2 brand new 150,000 square foot athletic fields for our city kids to use. We are trying to carve a path of upward mobility for our families that are trying to do the right thing. As you know, a lot of our residents are trying to be self-sufficient, but may just be experiencing and struggling with underemployment or the effects of a country that is still in its economic recovery. Last month, Superintendent Kishimoto and I launched the Hartford Promise, which guarantees $5,000 per year or up to $20,000 towards college education for every Hartford public school graduate with a B average and good school attendance. Through our Livable and Sustainable Neighborhoods Initiative, we will provide grants, I repeat grants, of up to $15,000 for low-income and elderly homeowners who want to renovate the exteriors of the properties, but for financial reasons just can't do so. We know that capital and loans are hard to come by, and we want to do what we can to support our honorable citizens. The Livable and Sustainable Neighborhood Initiative will continue to focus on combating blight, installing big bellies trash receptacles, addressing major litter and dumping areas, and working on the overall beautification throughout our city. And folks, it is time again that we launch a citywide, city-driven anti-litter program. We will collaborate with our community stakeholders, businesses, and residents to rid our city of trash and litter once and for all. Opportunities Hartford is an initiative I created that leverages existing resources to increase jobs, income, and education. We will move ahead with employer incentive programs in summer and youth employment, among other programs, with Opportunity Hartford. And finally, and though I say this with some hesitation, but I still have to mention it because it's not a coincidence, it is a consequence of the good work that our police chief, our shooting task force, our police, our communities, our faith communities, and everyone involved has achieved. It is that this is the first time in decades, that we have made it this far into the year without a single homicide. Now, let that sink in for a moment. Because I know that as a city, we and others are very hard upon ourselves. And as a mayor, I want people to start and continue in developing a good and positive image of the things that we can accomplish together. There's nothing in this State of the City address, there is nothing that I have accomplished alone. There's nothing in the State of the City address for which I want any specific credit. I want the credit and I want the benefits to accrue to the honorable and good people that live in this city, and for many of those outside the city who have intense and long-term relationships with this city, who do want it, see it prosper. But we need to build partnerships. We need to build partnerships with each other, understanding that what we do, we don't do for ourselves. We do for the people that depend upon to get things done, most especially our children. A safe city is a thriving city. A city with a growing economy filled with opportunities for young people, for families, for entrepreneurs, for the business community are essential principles for development. And no matter what our fiscal challenges are, those are principles that I'm not willing to compromise on. So, how are we going to deal with the challenges that we face? Large deficits, decreased revenue, high unemployment. We will continue to create jobs by investing in our infrastructure. We will continue to educate our children, to provide for a competitive workforce that awaits them. We will continue in our efforts to attract businesses. Several medium-sized businesses have moved into our city. The net gain on businesses creating in this city is not insignificant. We will continue to attract them by creating, that will create more employment and hopefully put more feet on our streets. Let me close by saying that simply because things get difficult doesn't mean that we abandon our principles. Simply because we don't get everything that we want, we don't walk away from the negotiation. That's not effective leadership or effective management. We might not always agree on the methods, but one thing we must agree on, and that is that going backwards for our city is not an option. Not having a balanced budget is not an option. A vibrant city with opportunity is where we are headed. And if you don't share this commitment, perhaps this dialogue is not meant for you, but I'm an optimist, and I believe that things can and will continue to get better for our city. Hartford gave me opportunities that changed the trajectory of my life. It was here in Hartford where I was given access to an education, a career, and a better future. It is my objective to provide those same opportunities to everyone who calls the capital city home. Thank you. God bless you, Connecticut. God bless you, Hartford. And let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.